Thank you for joining us. Excellent. Again, hello everyone. My name is Eric Campos. I am the CEO of Back in Guatemala. And with me is Jaime Quan, the CEO of Pantaleon. Well, the idea today is have a chat between us about 4 key topics that connect our experience in Banco de America Central, BAC, and Pantaleon. And these 4 topics is about leadership with purpose, technology as a driver of change, organizational resiliency, and future vision. Shall we start?
Of course.
Thank you. Go ahead. Tell us a little about leadership with purpose in Pantaleon.
Well, today.
No. Someone help me here with the. Excellent. Thank you. Let's try this, no? We can change here.
Okay. So, today we're going to talk about strategy, culture, and technology. At Pantaleon, those 3 topics, we've been looking, first of all, this all has to be tied all together with strategy. Strategy, I think it's the most important thing, as we all know. So, as leaders in a company, we're in charge of culture, changing the culture of the company to make sure that, of course, we have a goal, but also we change people and we lead with our people through these technological changes. At Pantaleon, we have a motto that is called One Team, One Dream. And basically, the idea of having one team as a whole big company, Pantaleon employs 14,000 employees, is that we want to break silos. We want to work really as one big team that is, working together for a common goal, and that's our one dream. And in our strategy, we have a strategic pyramid, of course, and we have there our values as the very base of our pyramid. And then we have technology. Technology is one of our 2 key enablers for our strategy. Technology, digital transformation. And the other part of these supporting areas is people, of course. And there is where our culture of being one team and collaborating is very crucial. So basically, those 2 pillars, of course, help us with efficiency, which as a sugar company, as a commodity, we're very focused on being very efficient. And having technology and people focus on continuous improvement is what really helps us, be at the forefront of being one of the most efficient companies in our industry in the world. And from that, of course, the next step is innovation. We're a company that is looking into green products, and it's very important in a world where there's global warming that we start replacing fossil fuel-based products with products that are made out of sustainable, renewable products like agricultural products that basically capture the energy from the sun. So that's how we are approaching this. How are you guys doing it at BAC?
Well, it's interesting because we are in different industries, more in services in our case, but we share some things. For example, we say one customer, one BAC, one team. Why? Because we are in 6 countries in Central America. We work serve Central America from Panama to Guatemala. And we all in the same company share the same values, the leadership with purpose, and the idea to reimagine banking and create new opportunities with technology thanks to our people. And for example, We have more than 400,000 POS in Central America. This red POS, when we see this like a way to give development, to give opportunities to people, small stores, mom and pop store, where they can create prosperity through this new technology. Because the other thing that you mentioned, very important, is strategy. We listened just in the talk before about data, data science, etc. But never of this is useful if not connected with the strategy. What you can do, what you can make with your company, what is your purpose, what is their company drive. And that way, what is your experience as CEO in the way of the purpose of the company, the impact that you want to create?
Like I mentioned, of course, we want to make sure, sugar is a source of energy for humans, but we also, from sugarcane, we have a subproduct that is molasses. And from molasses, we make ethanol. And of course, ethanol, as you all know, is a substitute of gasoline. So basically, by blending ethanol and gasoline, we can reduce some of the emissions that otherwise, will be produced from burning or combusting gasoline. So we're a company that is, like I mentioned, very focused on the green economy, on bringing solutions to humans so that ideally we can stop global warming. So ethanol is something very important. In the future, it's going to be second-generation ethanol, making ethanol out of bagasse, which is, for example, our other byproduct. Currently, we're using bagasse to produce electricity, and it's renewable electricity, as you all know. And basically, Guatemala, during the harvest season, which is half of the year, Guatemala uses 30% of the electricity that is consumed in Guatemala is generated from bagasse. So nowadays, the industry is very important for the country, in particular in Guatemala. And as I mentioned, we're looking forward to coming up with more products that can help humans with this fight against global warming. Talking about technology, I think technology is key. As we heard in the previous presentation, a lot about AI. Basically, we generate a lot of information in all of our processes. Global warming is hurting us as people that grow crops, because global warming is creating either excess rainfall or the contrary, droughts, severe droughts. So global warming is what's going to create very volatile weathers. And what we're facing right now, for example, is droughts. Severe droughts. In Mexico, for example, we had 8 continuous years where the rainfall was below average. Maybe many of you heard about the droughts that happened in Mexico City. We were impacted as well in our crops, and prices went up through the roof of sugar, because there wasn't enough sugar for the consumers. So we went, for example, we have been increasing drip irrigation significantly, which is a very efficient way of irrigating, and actually it doubles. It potentially doubles the amount of tonnage that you can get from the same area. So it's a very efficient use of water, and as well as increasing the productivity. But going back to AI, we generate a lot of information, as I was hearing in the previous panel. It's very important that nowadays, with the advancements of computing power, that all this information can help us be more efficient. Currently at Pantaleon, we're using machine learning algorithms to do optimization of our processes, so that we can be much more efficient. And, and all of this makes a lot of sense if you can capture the data. So you have to digitize all the data that typically you had maybe in isolated systems. You have to put it in a data lake, and from that data lake, you have to construct the algorithms so that you can come up with these optimization models. And that's how we're at the forefront of technology and using AI so that we can, be more and more efficient. But I imagine that you guys as well have to face all these challenges, regulatory, have challenges with resiliency. Can you tell us about how BAC is doing it?
Thank you. Yeah, very important in your case, for example, the use of innovation, as you told in your case. Innovation is the key driver to face all these challenges that we have. And in your case, we combine this innovation with our strategy of triple value: economic value, social value, and environmental value. And how to support from BAC all companies like you to transform their operation, the way that you are doing your things, to help and mitigate all these kinds of effects that we have, these environmental impacts, the negative impact that we have. Also, for example, we have created a lot of innovation with this. This is very powerful to achieve people, to help people to create prosperity. For example, we create some application that is, joined with the solution, banking solution, to help the people run their business, run their personal finance, and help them to planning in the long run. Because I think that our companies, well, you have more than 100 years in, well, not you, the company have more than 100 years. In our case, it's almost 70 years, more than 70 years. When we need to be optimists, and we need to create future. What do you think about the role of leadership to create future and to create hope to the future in Central America, in a region that need a lot?
Well, like I mentioned, of course, all these trends are creating opportunities, but you have to think outside the box. You have to see how, what you make nowadays can be a product for the future or a service for the future. We're very optimistic about growing sugarcane, which is one of the largest crops in the world. There's more sugarcane produced in the world, more than rice and more than corn, globally. So it's a great source of renewable materials that can be used, as renewable energy ultimately. So we're very optimistic about this, Eric. How are you guys seeing the future?
Yeah, we see the future with a lot of opportunities. In the case of Guatemala, where we are working, as I mentioned, for many decades, is very passionate to see how this entrepreneurship that exists in Guatemala is working every day, how the people is taking the opportunities with technology, with data, with new solutions, like I mentioned, the mobile and the all financial solution to provide new opportunities to grow. Then we are very optimistic, and we are working with a lot of companies in alliance with different companies like you that create opportunities in the triple value. How to generate, for example, green energy. Just the last year, we financed more than 100 megawatts of solar energy in Guatemala. And there is new opportunities to create more clean energy, as you mentioned before, in different ways. And the opportunity to have the country that is the youngest country in Latin America, I think all the continent. And this is a good thing and an asset that Guatemala has, that the opportunity to have these all young people that's coming and create more economic prosperity. I think that as Guatemala and as Latin America in general, we have a responsibility to create, to support, enforce with technology, with innovation, with hope, this way to a most prosperous society here in Central America and Guatemala too. How you see the company in the future?
I think that, like you mentioned, it's very important that we create all these opportunities. And as you were mentioning about Guatemala, for example, Guatemala has all these things in its favor. You know, a stable economy, stable currency, renewable energy, proximity to the U.S., a lot of young people, so talented people. We're gonna have like a demographic boom in the next decade, you know, as people age. So Guatemala is very well, you know, positioned to have a lot of prosperity. And I think that, as I mentioned, you know, with all these, for example, AI, in my opinion, it's gonna be a great source of entrepreneurship opportunities, because many companies, you know, need to digitize their data and clean up their data, you know, in order to be able to run these algorithms. And nowadays, probably data is not you know, digitized. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunities to create, you know, these types of small companies, startups that can understand, you know, the problems that maybe bigger companies have, and help them with this road, because basically it goes back to the very, very basic idea that garbage in, garbage out in IT. So if you don't have good data, you're not going to have good, you know, AI models. So it's very important that you can that small entrepreneurs can help, you know, find these opportunities where they can help bigger companies or other companies in this road to AI. I think that's going to be, the world is going to change, as you all may probably imagine, significantly with all these technologies that are coming.
Yeah, maybe, well, the time is running. Maybe final thoughts about, as CEOs, your case in Pantaleon, my case in back in Guatemala, what will be your message about culture? Because our companies have a long tradition, a long history, its impact in the region. What do you think is the key factors in a health or a good culture in the organization to create this positive impact?
I think that as leaders in our companies, as I mentioned at the very beginning, we're in charge of changing the culture. And we have to foster the right culture. And when we say one team, what we're really meaning is collaboration. We need to work together. You know, we can't have silos in the different departments. But it's a system. So in order for us to be one company, we need to all share one dream. And that's why that motto, you know, sounds cliche, but it's really something very basic that we've been pushing in Pantaleon, so that people get the idea clearly and simply. So our goal is to change the company, you know, having it simple, making it simple. And our goal also, as I mentioned, is for there to be collaboration. But ideally, you also have to make sure that people are happy. They're happy with their job. They're what Edward Deming called joy in work. If people are happy doing their job, they're motivated because of the purpose of the company, for example, they're going to do their jobs not because exactly how much they're paying them, but more out of intrinsic motivation. So I think that that's our main responsibility as leaders in companies, you know, to create this vision, to create this system that works within the company, so that people, you know, collaborate and work together towards that one goal.
Yes, it's easy to say that doing it, right? In your case, in back, exactly, the culture of purpose is very important. And it's our people, more than 20,000 people around Central America, is drive for this passion to generate prosperity, this way to looking always for excellence and move the boundaries and push with the innovation how to create more prosperity for our region. And of course, integrity, you know. And this is something that when a company stand as long as our companies. Integrity is the key. And it's something, no matter if your company is small or is bigger, when you have these values, of these kind of values in your company and create this kind of culture, then the people have a drive to work, to put the extra mile. And this is our case. I'm very proud of all the people that work in our organization, and I'm sure you too, that put this soul to create things, to improve the life of the people that we feel responsibility. And then I think that the final talk of my way is to say that we, no matter how many technology is, how the technology evolves, never forget the core that is the people, the collaboration, the working, the relation that you need to create. Because at the end, all the tools that we see, all the innovation that we see are tools that we as people are working together to improve our environment, our planet, our country, our region. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to, as well, add that at Pantaleon, values are extremely important. Values are at the very base of our pyramid. And we have 3 values at Pantaleon. The first one is integrity and honesty. And as you mentioned, we couldn't have a history of 175 years of existence if we were not a company based, on integrity. The second one is continuous improvement. Continuous improvement, you always have to be learning, you always have to be improving, finding ways to make things more efficient, faster, cheaper, better. And the last one, as you mentioned, is we are very proud of our people and we are committed to their success. And those are the 3 values that are at Pantaleon, that have been at Pantaleon for many, many years. I've been at Pantaleon for 21 years, and they were prior to me coming into Pantaleon. So I'm very proud of our values. I think that that's one of the main reasons I've stayed at Pantaleon for so long, because I identify with values. So it's very important that people have very strong values, as you mentioned, because that's what really makes people stay, remain loyal to a company.
Yeah, and let me add for applause to Jaime, because he made the effort. He is flying now, like in 2 hours. I made the effort to come here and share their talk with us. Thank you, Jaime.
Thank you very much.